3, 2, 1.
As you traverse planet Earth, you may come across a young man and his family who is changing the world one person, one community, one act at a time. He is called a Yungerman. What is a Yungerman?
Musser learner.
Toastfos-Yearner.
Game changer.
Opportunity discoverer.
Problem solver.
It's not a job title.
The Emily man.
Dedicated.
Mashpia.
Leader. Steiger.
Wow. That's a mind-bending world full of information. To help us understand the depth of the Yungerman, let's go back to the beginning.
We had just bought a house in Lakewood.
My wife and I both grew up in Chicago.
We grew up in Atlanta in a Kollel community.
I spent 13 years at Minneapolis Kollel of Lakewood.
I grew up in Brooklyn, got married, moved to Lakewood. I was learning Minneapolis Kollel together with Victor Goldberger.
Every Yungerman begins his journey studying in the great yeshivas, such as Lakewood, cocooned in the eternal light of Torah, and surrounded by tens of thousands of like-minded people. Like a star lawyer or engineer, only brighter, one day they get recruited by a kollel.
When recruiting a Yungerman, we're looking for a number of things.
Ben Torah.
Ibn Aliyah.
Flexible.
Role model.
Effective communicator.
Motivated.
Masmid.
Praiseworthy.
But it isn't easy moving from the familiarity of Lakewood to the unknown zip codes of America. The next step is to go visit the community.
After spending the weekend in Minneapolis, the choice was obvious.
That's Zman, learning in Minneapolis Kollel, and we all knew that Avigdor is going to Minneapolis. And one day Avigdor tells me, Ari, we need you to come. I'm like, what? It's not happening.
Ari Khan actually started getting interested in the things that I had to say.
Literally just to get him off my shoulders, I went down for a Shabbos.
But I guess we know who was right.
And the rest is history.
We were very warmed by their welcome, by their excitement, and they even had a hot kiddush.
I got a phone call of Victor Goldberger. Next thing I knew, it was about, I think it was the next Shabbos, we were in Minneapolis for Shabbos. And it was freezing cold. I think I'm still cold from that Shabbos. But everybody was so genuine. The Balabatim, the Rabbanim. I got to see that it was one of the warmest communities that exist.
We were expecting big things, but at the same time, my wife was also expecting a baby. And we shipped everything off. Big moving truck came, our cars, everything went. My wife went to the doctor for one last visit, and the doctor said, Mrs. Kahan, you're not going anywhere until the baby's born. The harder the transition, the greater the opportunity.
One step at a time.
When we arrived, the entire community came to the airport. It was heartwarming.
I remember getting off the plane and stopping at a local coffee shop. And I said, could I have a coffee? I'm like, what? I'm like, could I have a coffee? You mean a coffee? That was my first exposure to Minneapolis.
The Yungerlite and their families pack up everything and leave the world they know for the worlds they will develop and build. Why do they do it?
One reason a person might leave Lakewood and go to an out-of-town community is to make a difference. But what might be even more important is the ability to find oneself.
Moving out of town and learning in a kollel with 8 Yungerlite instead of 8,000 Yungerlite, you really have that opportunity to give over to so many people that are yearning to see what is the life of a Yungerman.
A Kollel family moves to town. It's not just the Yungerman himself who is developing and growing, it's the entire family.
It was initially more about self-growth and self-discovery, but as time went on, I saw opportunities of connecting with people, inspiring people. All of that has contributed to my growth, and I hope has contributed to their growth.
While in the kollel, the Yungerman undergoes a transformation.
When Rabbi Frank was recruiting us to come to the Kollel, he met us in our basement apartment in Lakewood, and I asked him what I thought was a reasonable question. So I'm going to be in the Kollel for 5 years, and then what? What's my next step? Rabbi Frank responded, that's a ridiculous question. You're going to be a completely different person in 5 years from now. It's ridiculous to ask what a person you don't know is going to be doing.
I've been the Rav of Beis Yisrael for almost 12 years right now. I still am a younger man.
I have the privilege of leading the Kinyan Masechta Chabura for the last 5 years, and is really a microcosm of everything that I gained in the Kollel. It's the ability to learn, the ability to teach, to arrange, and everything that I'm able to do for the yeshiva for Kinyan Masechta is a credit to the 5 years that I spent in the Kollel here. I owe my entire career to the Minneapolis Community Kollel.
Though we are in 2021, hindsight is 2020.
Looking back over the last 10 years and at the numerous successes that have been born out of the Kollel, it's clear that a Yungerman grows and contributes in ways that are almost unfathomable. It's kind of weird. We've been here for 10 years. It's crazy. 10 years.
The Kollel is booming, it's bursting, and chavrusas, all sorts of shiurim. But the Kollel is really a center of activity, a hub of Torah, limud Torah, impacting the city.
Learning with Kollel Yungerman means that we're learning with people who are steeped in their daily learning as their profession. And that is clearly a differentiator and a distinction in terms of having them as part of the community.
What we see is they elevate the level of the community.
After spending the whole day at the office, it's something that I look forward to, that in just a few hours, I have my chavrusa shop to be able to sit down and learn in the Kollel.
The Kollel is focused on Yir Shemayim and Avos Hashem and Avodas Hashem and the Achdus that's there and the feeling of no matter where you are in life, the Torah is the focus and the Iker. It gives you the chizuk to keep on steiging and growing.
For me, it's just been a great resource, and it's been just remarkable how Torah is just so applicable to every aspect of our lives.
I was approached by some of the Kollel Yungerman to see if I would give them an opportunity to expand their skills in the business that I was in. And I took the risk with a couple of them, and all of a sudden I had the most amazing thinkers in my business. And the skills that they needed to do the job, they learned on the job. But the ability to think and hold kop is an amazing attribute of a Yungerman.
So what is a Yungerman?
A Christ.
Wholly committed. Effective communicator.
A role model.
Warm.
Mentor.
Models of midos.
Ben Torah.
A Yungerman is a young man steeped in Torah who moves to a new city to move the world.
A Yungerman doesn't move to Minneapolis. He moves Minneapolis.
They don't leave their hometown of Torah for another. They bring their hometown of Torah to another.
Torah is everything. It is the core, the essence. A Yungerman lives to develop his core by expanding his essence, his Torah.
When you pour water into a full cup, it just continues overflowing and spilling over its boundaries and waters everything around it. The same thing is true in a Kollel. When you pour Torah into a person who's already full of Torah, it just can't help but spill over his boundaries and affect all this around him.